Okay, I think we'll get started. Good evening, everyone. My name is Julie Shields-Rutina, and I am the Director of College Planning, Education, and Training at MEFA. And we're so glad to have you here with us this evening to talk about a terrific program called Tuition Break. So I'll introduce our speaker in a moment, but let me just give a few logistics and say a few words about MEFA. So a little bit about MEFA is a state authority that has been around since 1982 to help families plan, save, and pay for college. And we continue to do that today. We have the state's savings programs, the U Plan, the U Fund, and the Attainable Plan. We also have low-cost loans for families who need that type of financing when it comes to paying for college. And then everything else we do is all about guiding families at whatever stage you're at to help students access and afford higher education and make a plan for whatever is beyond. So, so happy to have you join us on these webinars, and please visit the MEFA website and come back and see us often, because we have just a wealth of resources on all of these college topics and other financial topics. So a few keys about the webinar this evening. We want it to be interactive, although our speaker, Jonathan Gowan of the New England Board of Higher Education, NEBI, and who is director of the Tuition Break program, is going to present some slides. He has a lot of terrific information about this program, but we also want to make sure that we answer any questions that you have. So please use the question and answer feature that's on your screen, and we'll make sure to incorporate those. And we always get great questions, which then make these webinars so much more robust. So don't be shy. And lastly, we are recording this, so if you need to leave at any point, you can, and we will send a link to the recording and the slides tomorrow. I see that someone has already enabled closed captioning. If you need that, just click on the live transcript button and you'll be able to see the words that we're speaking. And with that, welcome, Jonathan, and thank you, and I'll turn it right over to you.
Thank you so much, Julie. Really appreciate the introduction. Good evening, everyone. As Julie introduced, my name is Jonathan Gowan. I'm the director of the Tuition Break program with the New England Board of Higher Education. Our organization is also known as NEBI. That is our acronym. So if you hear me drop that, you know what I'm talking about. It's really a pleasure to be with you this evening. NEBI is based right out of the great city of Boston, Massachusetts. So here in the heart of New England. And while we serve all 6 states that make up the region, Massachusetts is particularly near and dear to our hearts. So I am really glad to be here to be able to share some information with you about Tuition Break. So the first, just to lay the groundwork a little bit about the conversation, I want to double down on Julie's earlier point, which is feel free to engage throughout the session. While I have a slide deck and you're going to hear my voice a lot, I'm going to tell you a lot of information. I do not mind being interrupted. So please feel free, ask questions, put things in the Q&A that you want to know, if I can clarify any points I make, or if you'd like more information about a particular topic, please do not hesitate to put that in the Q&A. I want to make sure that you leave this session with everything that you need to know. So without further ado, I will go ahead, get these slides up and running. Just heading straight into it, a couple important things to know first is really what are we going to talk about tonight? So first things first, I really, instead of jumping immediately into Tuition Break, I want to lay the groundwork for you about what is the New England Board of Higher Education. That's a really key question that I think is very important. I get a lot of questions from families about, what is NEBI? What is this New England Board of Higher Education? What is it that you do? So I do want to lay the groundwork for you and share a little bit about who we are, and that will help you understand sort of why does Tuition Break exist and why are we trying to help families and students, especially related to the cost of college. After that, of course, I really want to dive into the meat of Tuition Break so that you understand what the program is, how it can work for you, all of its various, its history, its nuances, its benefits. And I'm really going to spend a lot of time talking about the mechanics of the program. I want to spend time talking through those logistics so that you have what you need, whether you're a student or whether you're a parent or family member, that you have what you need to be able to go into this process, understanding how it works and asking all of the right questions of people beyond this evening's presentation. And then lastly, just going to continue the conversation about how it works, but then wrap up with some additional resources. And at the end of the session, there will also be time for additional Q&A as well. So once again, feel free to ask questions throughout, but know that we're going to save some dedicated time at the end to explore anything that is left over. So let's get going. First things first. Who are we? What is NEBI? What is this New England Board of Higher Education business? So the most important thing to know is that we're a very unique organization. So we are what is considered to be a quasi-public private nonprofit organization. Specifically, we're a higher education compact organization. And I say we're unique because there are only 4 organizations like us across the entire country. So we are the New England Board of Higher Education. We also have 3 sister organizations across the US that work with various other regions. Those would be the Southern Regional Education Board, or SREB, in the South, the Midwestern Higher Education Commission, or MEC, which is located, as the name suggests, in the Midwest. And then lastly, our peers on the West Coast, the Western Interstate Commission of Higher Education, also known as WICHE. Now, why am I giving you this background? It's because all 4 of our organizations run very similar programs to Tuition Break. We are very active and engaged in the world of supporting students on their journey to college and making especially public education more affordable so that it's easier for you to, it's an easier process for you to navigate. And ultimately, so it costs you less money. It means taking out less loans. It means really a greater streamlined process to economic security into the future. So we are 4 organizations very much active in supporting higher education initiatives across the country, but we all have this very strong focus on cost savings and college affordability. Now, NEBI is a really strong leader in this space. Tuition Break is 65 years old. We're very proud of our history. We've saved New England residents quite literally billions of dollars in tuition, and you'll find out how very soon. But I like to lay this groundwork because it's very common that families ask me, how is NEBI funded? How can Tuition Break work as it is? And the answer to that question of how are we founded is really very straightforward. As I said, we're a quasi-public private nonprofit organization, which means we were created when all 6 of the New England governors came together and said, we need to work together more around higher education initiatives. This was back in the 50s when it was during the Eisenhower presidency. There was a lot of energy for interstate cooperation. This was right at the same time the interstate highway system was being built. There was a lot of great energy around states working together to do more for their residents. So the New England Board of Higher Education was founded. Tuition Break was the program around which the organization took shape. So we are really the cornerstone of the organization. And really the first call of the governors was, we need to save New England residents money as they pursue higher education. And the rest really truly is history. Now, again, to get back to that specific question of how we're funded, we receive state support from the 6 states of New England. So we do receive that money. Primarily, it's what supports the work of Tuition Break. It's what makes the program possible. And as we get into the mechanics of the program and you find out more about how it works, more of this will become clear. So moving on, I want to actually begin to get into that. I've been alluding to Tuition Break all this time. Some of you may have heard of the program already. For some of you, it may be totally new. So what is Tuition Break? At the base level, Tuition Break is it's a regional tuition savings opportunity. We are a program that facilitates tuition discounts for New England residents who want to study at an out-of-state public institution. So I take it that most of you or all of you here are Massachusetts residents. Of course, MEFA serves the great state of Massachusetts. And so if you're a student or perhaps you're a family member with a student and you're thinking about studying outside of Massachusetts, say you want to go maybe to Maine or to Connecticut, and you want to study at one of that state's public universities or community colleges, this is an opportunity where you could potentially save some money. So instead of paying out-of-state tuition, which as anyone who's done some research knows, out-of-state tuition can be very, very expensive. It can be 2, 3, or many times more than in-state tuition. Tuition break exists to help reduce that cost. Tuition break is a discount on the typical out-of-state tuition rate that really works to bring that cost down. Now, later on, I'll talk about what this can mean related to the rest of the world of financial aid, but that is really the basis of the program, is that we exist to reduce the cost of tuition, to reduce the cost of out-of-state tuition for students who want to leave their home state. In the case of our audience tonight, that's students who want to leave Massachusetts to either expand their boundaries or perhaps to study a specific program that may not be available within the Massachusetts public higher ed system. Now, I will say that as we move forward, I'll talk more about how this works and the various sort of criteria that exist to make tuition break eligible. But really, I'm quite proud of the fact that tuition break is really, in the world of financial aid and sort of cost savings programs, tuition break has a very remarkably low barrier to entry. There are really two main criteria that determine eligibility for tuition break. The first is state residency. You have to be a resident of New England. And the second is you have to want to study at a New England public institution. Now, if you're a Massachusetts resident and you're already thinking you want to go to an in-state institution, you want to go somewhere within Massachusetts, whether that's Westfield State or UMass Lowell, you're already going to get in-state tuition. It's already a great deal, but tuition break then wouldn't be for you. Tuition break applies when you want to go out of state, and that's the key point. The last point that it may rely on is really, it may depend on what major that you want to study. We are very proud of the fact that we work with every single one of the public colleges and community colleges and universities across New England. However, each one of those institutions integrates and engages with tuition break in different ways. Some of them are fully engaged with us, and others maybe only have a couple of academic programs available through tuition break. And that's one of the other keys about the program, is that the discount, in addition to being just for New England residents, it also may depend on the academic program that you want to study. I'm going to get more into that as we move forward, because there's a few layers that I want to peel back, but that's sort of an important scene setting for you to understand the basics of tuition break and really the core of how the program works. So really, this slide is meant to just hit you with some very quick, fast facts about the program and about sort of tuition break's reach and where we exist, and a bit more about how we work. So first things first, we're really quite proud and honored to be able to save New England residents quite a lot of money. As I said earlier, tuition break, we're celebrating our 65th birthday this year. We have truly saved New England residents billions of dollars in tuition. And on an annual basis, we actually save each student who participates roughly about $8,600 a year on tuition. Again, that's every year. That's an annual figure. It has gone up over the last couple of years as we've expanded our opportunities and tuition break programs. So we're really quite proud of what we've been able to save New England residents for those students who are looking to go out of state. I'll also say, sort of hearkening back to my comments about how the discount may be attached to the academic program you wish to study. We're very proud of the fact that we've vastly expanded the academic programs through which tuition break is eligible. So I'll explain a bit more about how tuition break works, is that at many of our institutions, in order to receive the tuition break discount, you have to be enrolled in a program that college or university has designated as a tuition break major and made eligible to various states of New England. Now, I'll say in fall 2019, about 3.5 years ago, we had about 800 academic programs that were eligible for the tuition break discount. And that's at every level. That's associate's degrees, it's bachelor's degrees, even graduate degrees as well. However, as of fall 2023, as of this fall semester, we're really extremely proud of the fact that we've more than tripled the number of programs that are available at this discount. We are well over 2,500 programs across the 6 states of New England that are eligible for reduced tuition. And so we're really quite proud of that dramatic expansion. And what it really means for you as a student or as a family member is that the capacity or the opportunity, the potential rather, for you to receive the tuition break discount and save some money has really expanded quite dramatically in the last couple of years. Now, I want to reiterate my earlier point, which is talking about those universities that participate. Once again, we're very, very proud of the fact that every single one of the public community colleges and four-year universities of New England participate with us. Currently, that's 38 participating four-year universities. That's also 43 participating community colleges across the whole region as well. So to have that level of participation is really exciting. It means that the entire public higher education community of the region is invested in the program and invested in saving you and your families some money. Lastly, just to talk about the reach of the program, last year, over 9,200 students, residents of New England, paid reduced tuition. So almost 10,000 students across the region saved money on tuition. It ultimately came out to being about $64 million in savings spread across the entire region of New England. So again, we have quite an expansive reach. We've been around for a long time. We're a trusted name in the higher education community. And so really, really proud of who we are. So let's get further into the weeds. I really want to spend some time talking more about this academic program piece, this major piece as it relates to receiving the discount. I know that for a lot of students, this is something that is a major consideration, no pun intended. So I want to spend some time unpacking that. Now, one of the resources that I want to draw your attention to is actually our website. So our website has actually been at the bottom of each of the slides so far. It is nebi.org/tuition break. You can see that right there at the bottom right-hand corner of the slide. And I highly recommend, I really can't recommend enough that you spend some time looking at our website and reviewing the programs that we have. All of the academic programs available for the discount are listed on our website. They're listed by institution. We also have a searchable database where you can put in your home state, for example, and it will show you all the programs that are available to you. You can search by keyword. There are several ways to go about seeing what programs participate in tuition break, and I really recommend that you go there. But I want to provide you with some more context so that you understand really what you're looking at. As you begin to explore our program listings, you're going to see a few things. You're going to see, of course, that we organize the academic programs available through tuition break based on their level. So we categorize associate's degrees, we categorize bachelor's degrees, and then master's and doctoral degrees as well. So everything is categorized by degree, but you'll also see that state eligibility is also listed as well. So for certain programs, you may see that it may say automotive technology, for example, but then on the state eligibility side, it may give the abbreviations for Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire. That's really important for you to know. And if you see in those cases, what that means is that the tuition break discount is only available to residents of those states. Now, why is this? What does this all mean? So I bring this up because we actually allowed our partner colleges and universities to categorize the academic programs that they offer tuition breakthrough in two different primary categories here. So they're listed on this slide: specialized programs and then flexible programs. So how this works is that for most, and I will say most of the colleges and universities we work with operate through the specialized programs category. This is the original, this is how how tuition break was originally formed, is the specialized programs were really at the root of the program. And so what this means is that for institutions that offer the tuition break discount through specialized programs, is that the discounted tuition is only available to students who reside in New England states where that specific program is not available. So in the case of Massachusetts residents, an institution that has their programs listed as specialized means that they would be, the only programs that would be available to Massachusetts residents are those that are are not available within the public higher education system. So I will say most of the institutions offer their programs through specialized. However, there's a rapidly growing subset of institutions that offer their programs through our other program category, which is what we call the flexible program category. This actually is relatively new for us. This is a category, a new policy that we launched in fall 2019, and what has actually allowed us to really rapidly and dramatically expand the number of academic programs that are offered through tuition break. So for the flexible, under the flexible programs category, if an institution, say for example, Eastern Connecticut State University, and they're a great example because they have done this, Eastern Connecticut University can say, we want to offer either this specific academic program or many academic programs, all through tuition break under the flexible policy. By doing so, that means that the tuition break discount becomes available to all out of state, which would be outside of Connecticut, residents within New England. I actually bring up Eastern Connecticut State because they're one of many institutions across the region who have decided to make the move to offering all of their academic programs at the tuition break rate. This is something that's been done very widely across Southern New England. In fact, as of fall 2023, about 30%, about a third of all of the colleges that we work with, that we partner with, will offer every single one of their academic programs to out-of-state New England residents at the tuition break rate, which means that really saving money on tuition break has never been more likely for residents, especially residents of Massachusetts. Now, especially within just a few examples of this, especially within the states of Connecticut and Rhode Island. In fact, within those states, all of the public community colleges or universities, with the exception of the two flagship universities, those are UConn and URI, have actually made the move to offer every single one of their academic programs at the flexible rate for next year. So it's really exciting, especially for anybody who in the audience who may be interested in heading that direction. I'll say as well that in the northern New England states, in Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, the flexible policy has begun to catch on as well. The University of Southern Maine, for example, offers several of their programs through the flexible rate. Additionally, there's a few institutions in Connecticut in Vermont that have done this as well. Now, I will say that the nature of these two policies, it can start to get a little bit confusing for students and families as you try to determine, am I eligible? Am I not eligible? And here's where I want to reiterate once again, my door is open. So please feel free, reach out to me, contact the staff here at Tuition Break, let us know what we can do to help. Additionally, I'm going to be talking about this in a moment when I actually get into pulling apart the process. How do you actually access the discount? I'll remind you again, but absolutely feel free to contact your admission counselor as well. The folks who are on the ground at the various colleges and universities that you're interested in, they want to engage with you as well. They will be able to support you in this process as you try to understand, as you try to work out your eligibility for the tuition break discount. So let's move on to that. Well, actually, I want to talk a little bit more about some additional pieces before I start to unpack the process. And the pieces that I want to talk about really are related to sort of answering some key questions as it relates to the major process. In fact, a really great question I get quite often is, what does this mean for students who are undecided? What if you are not sure exactly what major you want to study, what direction you want to go? That's a great question, really. And it's one that I empathize with a lot. When I was in college, I changed my major several times. And I know what it's like to be in that undecided state. Now, I will say the answer to the question of how does tuition break work for students who are undecided? The answer really is that it depends on what institution they're studying at. Now, if you're a student who is perhaps heading towards a university or a college that offers all of their academic programs, or rather offers any out-of-state student the tuition break discount, again, as of this fall, it will be a fairly large number of institutions, about a third of the public universities in New England. Being undecided doesn't really matter. The discount goes to all out-of-state students. And so it's not really something that you need to worry about. It's something that you will be able to navigate no matter which major you ultimately land in. Now, on the other side of things, if you're interested in an institution that offers its tuition break programs through the specialized policy, it's a bit of a different answer insofar as that undecided students typically are not eligible for the tuition break discount, because in the case of specialized programs, the discount is it's only offered specifically to those students who are studying and enrolled, making progress in that particular major. So in that case, the tuition break discount is not something that you could receive. And so that's something that is important to know, and I realize is a really key factor and perhaps even an anxiety point for a lot of students as you work to determine what it is that you want to study and what direction that you want to take with your college career and journey. I also want to talk a little bit about the changing of a major process as well, just so you understand sort of how tuition break works on the long term as you're heading to the institution, as you're beginning to get settled in your coursework and whatnot. And the answer is it is very similar, is that if you're studying at an institution that is fully engaged with a flexible policy, the changing of a major doesn't necessarily matter. You'll still receive the tuition break discount. It will not really be reflected on your student account or in any way. So it's not necessarily something you need to worry about. However, if you're studying at an institution, again, that engages more with the specialized policy, you may, if you're starting in a tuition break major, but perhaps you transition to a program that's not offered in tuition break, or perhaps has eligibility that is not permissible for residents of Massachusetts, you could lose the discount, and that would be reflected on your student account. And so it certainly is something to take into consideration. I also recognize that I'm throwing a lot of information at you all at once. And so if there's anything I can clarify, or if you have additional questions about how this works, what more does specialized mean? What does flexible mean? Please do not hesitate to ask. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I will provide my contact information at the end. I want to make sure, again, that you get exactly what you need. So moving on, now I want to start to really kind of get into the weeds of how does one access the tuition break in the first place? You're all presumably either students or families who are beginning or perhaps deep in the midst of the college search process. And so really, I want to spend some time talking about the mechanics of it. What should you be doing now to ensure or to access tuition break? So the first things first is the first step is one that's not necessarily very active, but really a key part to accessing tuition break. First off, you have to be a resident of a New England state. In the case of folks here tonight, more than likely residents of the state of Massachusetts. And so that step essentially guaranteed taken care of. Step number two is much more involved, however, and this is where I can't strongly recommend enough that be you a student or be you a parent or family member, take some time researching tuition break eligible academic programs at the colleges or universities that you're interested in. Once again, we have all of the tuition break eligible institutions and academic programs listed on our website. That website is in the bottom right-hand corner of the slide here tonight. Please, take some time, review those program listings, review the eligibility, because this will help to inform you about what is available and what those costs will look like as you continue your admissions and financial aid process. Additionally, many of our tuition break partner colleges and universities will have a fair amount of information on their website as well. For example, I know for sure that the University of Rhode Island, they always list out all of the academic programs that they offer through tuition break in the various state eligibility as well. So be sure, check out our partner institution websites. They have a lot of information as well about how tuition break works for them. And I will say, and then we actually start to get into the third step, which is really about submitting your admission application. And this is where I want to offer another really great tidbit about how tuition break works, is that we are purely a discount. What we do is we reduce the cost of attendance. And so I often frame this for students and families as, consider tuition break as really the first line of defense. It's the first thing that helps bring your overall costs down. And then beyond that, you start to get into the weeds of other financial aid opportunities, which I'll talk just a little bit about once we get closer to the end of the presentation. But that's an important thing to know, is that we're the first line of defense that starts to bring the cost of tuition down. Now, as you're submitting, and so because we're a discount, we're not a scholarship, which means that we don't require any additional paperwork. You don't have to submit any kind of application to NEBI or to me. There's no merit criteria like minimum grades or test scores. There's none of that here. Really, it's purely based on being a resident of New England, studying at a New England public college or university outside of your home state, and in some cases, enrolling in a tuition break eligible major. There's no other stipulation, no other criteria, no other work on your part. However, I always recommend doing what you can, dot your I's, cross your T's, do that research. Now, as you're submitting your admission applications, there's no additional work really you need to do for tuition break. That's why I'm making this point, is that you submit your application either through the Common App to the schools that you're interested in, or perhaps they might have a college or university specific application you need to complete. And in some cases, especially those colleges that may have more specialized tuition break programs, there will very likely be a question on the application that says, are you applying as a tuition break student? In which case, I recommend, if you've done your research, if you've identified that your academic programs of interest to participate, I recommend that you answer that question with a firm yes, that you indicate as well your major of interest on the application as well, so that the admission office knows that you're aware of tuition break and that you wish to enroll in that program as well. I will also say I want to acknowledge that tuition break is our primary name. However, we've been known by many names over our 65-year history. So you will see other references to us out and about. For example, you may see us referenced as the New England Regional Student Program. So I know some of our partner institutions will label us as the NERSP rate, so NERSP. We also are known simply as well by the Regional Student Program. We've also been known by other names in the past as well. Just know that when it comes to regional tuition discounting, it all comes back to tuition break. We're the center of gravity around tuition savings for New England. And so that is an important key to make. If you see anybody talking about the Regional Student Program, know that tuition break, they're talking about tuition break. It's all the same. Now, lastly, as you're submitting these applications to the colleges that you're interested in, I also can't stress enough, do a little bit of extra homework to determine if there are any additional eligibility requirements that an institution may have around tuition break. These are, I'll admit, these are not very common at all. However, at some of our partner institutions, you will see that there are some additional eligibility requirements. Certain very highly competitive majors at some of our partner institutions may only allow the discount once a student has reached a certain point in their academic journey. Sometimes the discount will only kick in at the student's junior year, for example. I will say these are not very common at all. Tuition break in general, we do not restrict students in receiving the discount very much. So these are not very common. However, again, just in the interest of your due diligence, I can't recommend strongly enough, do that research and do never hesitate to reach out to your admission counselor and say, I understand that this program exists. I understand that tuition break is an opportunity for some students. Can you give me some more information? Is there anything specific that I should know as a Massachusetts resident? So, definitely do your homework, dot those I's, cross those T's, just to make sure that everything works out and that you have a clear, full picture of what your cost could look like and how tuition break might factor in to your college search. And lastly, is just reiterating a lot of the points I've already made tonight. Ask a lot of questions, engage, don't hesitate to reach out to your admission counselor. Don't hesitate to reach out to folks like me. As I said earlier, my door is open. My email inbox is open. Please feel free, pick up the phone, shoot me an email if you have additional questions, or if you're trying to work out, if you are eligible for a particular program at a particular college. I'm happy to help however I can. I realize there's a lot of layers to how this works. And ultimately as well, tuition break may not be the right fit for everyone. and that's okay. I am here to spread the good word about the program and to offer my support and to really help you in your search however I can. Now, I want to begin to sort of bring things more to a close. I have just a couple more things that I'll share here. Of course, very happy to be working with MEFA to bring you this information tonight. MEFA, of course, the resident experts on financial aid and affordability in the state of Massachusetts. And so I can't recommend their resources enough as well. So if this is your first MEFA webinar you're ever seeing, definitely check out the rest of their website. There's so much good information out there. Julie is an expert in this space. So there's a lot of other great stuff to be seen. We're also working very hard here at NEBI to try to promote more or to spread more information about the college admissions and financial aid process. In fact, in partnership with MEFA, with their generous support, we've launched a virtual online platform this year. We're calling it our College Exploration Opportunity and Exploration Platform, where we're featuring a lot of webinars kind of similar to this one, but covering some other different topics. For example, next week we're going to be unpacking some information about the FAFSA. Next month we're going to be talking about the transfer, or next month we're going to be talking about the transfer process, and we've got some really exciting things lined up for March and April as well. So if you're interested in learning more about tuition break, if you're interested in learning more about just financial aid and opportunities across the great region of New England, feel free, check out that QR code, register to receive more information. Now, I want to hold this up here for a moment. I'll let you scan that QR code. I also see that we have a question here, so I'll address this while you all have an opportunity to scan that. So the question is, if my student has already applied through Common App, does that mean that they cannot get tuition break? Jamie, a phenomenal question. So thank you so much for asking that. The answer is no. So if you've already submitted an application and you didn't know about tuition break, it is not the end of the road. Definitely the next best step that you can do, reach out to the admission offices at the places that you've applied and let them know, hey, I just became aware of this tuition break opportunity. How does it work at this institution? What do I need to do to get this reflected on my application, my student account, all of that. I will say a couple other important things to know just while we're on the conversation. Indicating interest in tuition break or citing your eligibility does not at all impact your likelihood of admission. It is not it has nothing to do with the likelihood of acceptance or anything like that. And so that's an important thing to know as well, that advocating for yourself in this way will have no negative impact on the outcome of your admission application in that regard. So definitely it is not the end of the road, Jamie. Please feel free to reach out, let your admission counselor know that you've learned about this opportunity and ask what the next steps may be. I also will take this opportunity as well to encourage everyone, as you continue through the college admission and financial aid process, I recognize and acknowledge it can be a very complicated one. And it can be a very anxiety producing one. And so, make sure to always constantly be checking all of the various elements of this, especially when you get to the stage of analyzing your financial aid award letters, just to ensure that if you are tuition break eligible, those things are getting properly represented. Now, in most cases, in the vast majority of cases, it's not an issue. Tuition break is applied. We have very, very strong partners in the admission and financial aid offices of all the public universities of New England. However, I do want to acknowledge, errors can happen. We're all human, right? So it doesn't hurt at all to always check your financial aid award letters, look at those things closely, communicate with your admission officers, just to make sure that those things are properly represented. Just to bring things to bring the formal presentation to a close, I want to share this slide, and I'll leave this up as well. Just again, it's a call. It's a call to you all to let us know what we can do to help. This is a slide. This is my contact information. Got my phone number, my email. We've been building up our social media presence as well, where we're sharing information both about tuition break as well as our various partner institutions. So please feel free, reach out to us at any time, and I'll leave this up so that you can save the information. But at this point, we can also open up the conversation more widely for additional questions.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Yes, so we'll wait a moment and see if there are any further questions. And again, I will send a link to this recording and the slides to you, so you'll be able to have those and share them with others if you think others, I know others would probably like to hear this information as well.
Mhm.
So I don't see any questions. So I guess I will say that I will thank everyone. Thank you for the questions you have sent. And Jonathan, thank you for all of this great information. Oh, I think we have one. There we go.
Yes, a great question. So thank you, Matthew, for asking this. So does asking, the state of residency must be in New England, but does the school attended also need to be? So the answer to that is yes. So it is available to residents of New England who are planning to study at a New England institution, but outside of their home state. So in the case of Massachusetts residents, it means that you would have to, in order to receive the discount, you would have to be studying at a public community college or university in Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Vermont, or Maine. Unfortunately, the discount does not translate outside of the region. So if your student's interested in going perhaps to New York, Pennsylvania, California, unfortunately, tuition break is only accessible for students who are continuing their study here in the region. It's a great question, though, and I appreciate you asking. Another question, when will the 2023 schools participating in Flexible be announced? So all of our program listings, I'll tell you a bit about our process here in coordinating the program. Actually, every summer we go through the process of determining what programs will be offered at the tuition break rate for the following year. So actually last summer, from May 2022 to September 2022, we went through a whole robust annual review process to determine those programs that will be tuition break eligible for fall 2023. So that is all to say, all of the programs listed on our website are those eligible for tuition break for next academic year. So if you are a current senior in high school, or if you're not, but applying to enter into college this fall, know that everything represented on our website is accessible and relevant to you. This summer, we'll do the same annual review process for programs that will be eligible and effective in fall 2024. But just know that for right now, everything represented on our website is relevant for students who are going to be enrolled in a New England college in fall 2023.
Well, thank you again, Jonathan, and thank you to everyone, and have a good evening. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you all.
All right.